Cześć, przyjaciele. Nazywam się Rob. On nazywa się Kane. In other words, welcome to the channel. My name is Rob and this is Kane. Now, I am obviously an Englishman and Kane is obviously an Englishman, but there is a difference. I live in good old Great Britain and Kane lives in good old Polski. That correct? Yes. We're at your house now and we've had a chat before when I came back in July, and I want to ask you some more questions about your life in Poland. Okay. Now, can you give me a quick rundown, and if you want the full story, check back on the other one that will be in the description down below. But why are you living in Poland?
Well, I'm here because I love music and I want to come over here and have more musical opportunities.
Music is your first
That is
reason,
my first passion,
reason.
my first love. I mean, I love this little boy too.
Okay.
Be my dog. But the other reason is because of my girlfriend.
Yeah? What is her name?
Patricia.
Patricia.
I'm saying it properly.
She's over there.
I know. We've been together for about 4
She'll
years.
be advising us on any Polish that we need correcting and things. So you've come here basically for your two loves, music and the love of your life, Patricia. Yeah? And you drove all the way over here, didn't you?
I did. With Fuji.
With fudge?
Yes.
Or
Little
fudge,
baby boy.
as
Yes.
Yeah.
Some from the north.
Now, what I would like to know, we're going to talk about your life in Poland and what maybe some differences is. So the first question, are there any difficulties that you find being an Englishman living in Poland? What are some of the difficulties, things that you think, oh, it'll be a lot easier in England, or people might make life a little bit harder for you possibly?
Well, I think the main thing would be the language, of
Yeah.
course. So going around just doing general. So for example, when I first came here, it was really, really hard to even go into a shop.
Yeah.
I would have to ask Patricia, like, can you come with me to the shop and tell me what this is or what that is? Or if she couldn't come with me, she would write it down, and before we left the home, I would practice the phrase a couple of times, remember what it is. I remember one time going into Żabka, looking for some cereal, and it took me about 20 minutes to find the cereal. And I eventually found it by asking people, you know, where is it in Polish? And literally this woman was taking me around different parts of the shop because I didn't say it properly. So that was a bit annoying, a bit difficult. There's also, because obviously being an adult, you know, you're independent, you do your own thing. And when I had my own home in England, I was going out doing stuff so I could go and sort out car insurance, rent, whatever. So when it comes to more official things, such as that, say, you know, so when we were finding a place to live, Patricia was doing a lot of that to go and communicate and so on. And for me, it's really annoying, and it's not that it's Patricia's fault, of course, but I mean, it's annoying for me to not have my Polish at that level, to be independent and go and
I've found there's certain things, so when you're learning Polish, there are basic phrases and basic things you learn, but when it comes to maybe more official things, they're words that you haven't necessarily learned yet. And so it's very difficult to know, and then people asking you questions give you the, sorry, what face?
Well, yeah, and obviously there are many different ways of asking different kinds of questions, you know, like, so if someone's asking you, how are you? There are, like in English, there are many different ways of asking such questions. And sometimes in Poland, well, in Polish, they're going to do this like in the language, they will change the way they would ask it. And if you're not familiar with it, you can be like, wow, what did you say? So that's because I didn't do enough listening. And then if you feel like, okay, they're speaking too quick, that's because they're not, well, in this case, me, I'm not listening to it enough to go and comprehend what's going on. But yeah, when you mention the official side, it's a different kind of language as well. It's much more formal. So, and of course, formal language is not as common to hear, so you're not going to have the opportunity to listen to it as often as you would like to.
Yeah.
Then also, as I guess, also when you're dealing with official situations such as governments and that, you've got the added stress as well. Like you want to make sure that you're polite and whatnot. So when I was going through that process, getting my what do you call it, like ID registration and all that lot, that was a long process because we had to go there and you speak about it, why do you want to be over here and blah blah blah, along with getting all the documents and whatnot. But it's quite a tricky process.
Yeah.
But you do get used to it the more you listen. But thankfully, you're not really dealing with official situations often.
Well, I said
It's
you've been
mostly
over
listening.
here 4 years roughly now, right? Mm-hmm. And your Polish is pretty good. You've admitted there's things it's pretty good. When we go out places, you're pretty good at talking to the waitresses and people like that, aren't you?
I look like I am.
At least you pretend to everyone else that you are. So, you've done really, really well learning. And we've already said that you want to learn and you want to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. What I'd like to know is, now that you're settled in your flat now, what is the difference between a Polish home, maybe a Polish dom, that's right, compared to an English one that you're finding at the moment? Is there any differences, do you think?
You're talking like physical differences?
Yeah, physical differences or maybe locational differences. Did you live in a house before?
I did, yeah.
So
I lived in a
two-floor house?
I lived in a two-bedroom. That's an example. So in England, we would tend to say the size of a house or somewhere you're living, a dwelling, by the number of bedrooms you have.
Yep.
In Poland, they don't do that.
Okay.
They will say how many rooms you have. So this flat here, there are class as 3 rooms. So in England, we would say it's a 2-bedroom flat.
This would be a 2-bed flat that you're in.
In Poland, they would call this, I can't remember how you'd say it, because of the cases here. They would essentially call this a 3-room flat.
Yeah.
Further to this, what we don't, not that I didn't really notice this in England, maybe they've changed things, or maybe I just wasn't as observant, but in Poland, it's very common, if you're going to go and find a flat, they will tell you how many meters squared it is. Mm-hmm. I didn't really find that when I was looking for homes in England. It was, you just look on websites that I can't remember now what they were called.
Rightmove.
You're like Rightmove, and you type in how many bedrooms you want. You say, okay, 2-bed, and it'll say a terrace house or a flat.
But it's not very
you know.
clear. We have a 3-bed house, and that might sound quite big, but a 3-bed house can mean a lot.
Well, yeah. So in terms of size of flats, they do vary. I mean, this one is, I think it's 70 meters squared, if I'm right. So it's it depends where you are as well. Like if you're in the city, it's going to be much more expensive. We're a bit slightly further out. It's much more cheaper, like it is with most places.
Yeah.
But the 70 meter is probably a bit on the upper side, because I'd say the average that people would have is normally about a 50 meter squared. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's even smaller. I think it's like 35 or 30 it might even go down to. So you're looking at like maybe even a one bedroom or 2-room flat. If you're talking about other kinds of homes that they have in Poland, when you go out in the countryside, they usually tend to be much bigger. So you'll have not a farmhouse, but it's kind of like almost like a cottage, and they'll have a big front garden, a big back garden, and it's not just like, when I say big, I don't just mean, like 10 meters squared at the front and 10 at the back, or 20 at the back. I'm talking much bigger, where you would have what part of the back garden literally goes all the way around the whole home. So, for example, Patricia's grandma, it's huge. Like there are 3 different gardens at the back. It's all separated, and it's much more common in the outskirts.
I think that's probably quite similar, but
in
probably
the centre
here,
you won't find
probably
that.
here it's even to a bigger extent than in the UK. The size.
I would say so, and it's. I think Poland is geographically bigger than the UK. So if you include England, Wales,
Just a
Northern
bit,
Ireland, you squish it all together, Poland would still be bigger.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
I might be wrong though.
UK versus Poland then. Where would you have your washing machine?
Well,
So I say in the UK, most of us would have our washing machines in the kitchen.
yeah.
Where would yours normally be?
Well, because I'm English, yes, it'd be in the kitchen. And when I came over here, I was quite surprised. I'm like, why is it in the bathroom? What's going on? But here's another thing too. And this is not for all Polish homes. Of course,
we're
right?
generalising.
The more restricted the space, the more likely this will happen. And that is the type of washing machine. You think, what do you mean, type of washing machine? Now, any of the English, or maybe even the Australians who are watching this, be thinking, okay, well, normally a washing machine, you open the door and it comes outwards at the front, right?
Oh, you've got one that lifts up like the Americans.
Right. I don't know about the Americans if they
They
have
have
like that.
a lift up from the top.
Well, literally, you lift it up, and the drum, instead of being this way around, where you put the clothes in this way, the drum is literally the opposite. So it comes this. So basically, you would open it from the top, and then the drum itself has an opening. So you'd open the drum from the top, and you put the clothes in that way.
Do you have that?
Yes, we have that simply because it's much more Fuji hot. All right, you want your toy. So because you, where are you leaving? No, I don't know. Because there's less space. This is why they would choose this over that, because the other wash machines, they take up much more space. So that's why they do it. And if you think about it, now at first I didn't agree. I thought this is silly because obviously it's what I was used to. The reason why they will put the wash machine in the bathroom, I think, is because if you think about it, you've got your shower in there.
Yeah.
And then if you have a shower, and if you're lucky, you have a bath as well, all the steam goes in this room. So this room is designed for lots of water. Yes, you could argue, like, okay, but in the kitchen, we're using the kettle, we're using the hob and whatnot, and of course you have an extractor fan to move that. But in the bathroom, it's much more tiled all around. And if you think about it, you're taking all the washing that's wet, and then you could put them on the radiators. So they have like it's built into the wall. It's like I don't know what you call it.
Standing type.
Yeah, and it's literally taking, so the water from the heat or the boiler goes to this and it warms up the clothes. And you'll find a lot of people also, depending on the size of the room, they will put the maiden in there, or if you're American, I think they'll say dryer, clothes dryer or something.
The era.
And you put it, or the era if you're,
era.
yeah, I'd say maiden. I don't know why, anyway. So you pop it there and you dry it. It's also common too for the Polish to put the maiden outside on the balcony as well.
Yes, that's something.
They do this.
So Charlie behind the camera noticed this. As we were driving here, there's obviously a lot of blocks, right? A lot of tower block buildings, right? Flats, okay? And there are so many, even when it is really cold and quite moist in the air, a lot of flats will have the eras on the terrace. In the UK, I don't think we would do that. We would only put it outside when it's sunny and warm. And if it's not, if we don't use the tumble dryer, we would have our era inside, which causes condensation and all that.
But that only works when it's freezing outside.
So it has to be freezing.
Yeah, it cannot be wet, it cannot be rainy. It needs to be
Okay.
freezing. Then your washing is done.
So,
Along with all the
okay,
wind.
so basically, the Poles will put it out on the terrace when it's very cold.
Well, they do it in the summer too, but it's also
In the summer as well,
It
obviously.
also has
But
a-
not when it's wet, but only when it's really cold. Okay, there you go.
Obviously, if
But I
it's
don't think we'd do that in England.
if it's windy as well, you're going to be removing a lot of the
True.
of that.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that is the difference.
Now, have you visited many places in Poland while you've been over
I've
here?
been to quite a few.
So I want to know, what are your favourite places to visit in Poland?
That's a hard question. That really is.
Come on.
I can say, well,
You've got to have
Yeah,
some
but
favourites.
it's kind of like if you go, they're not all the same. So of course there can be similarities. So if you go from Wrocław to Poznan to Warsaw or Warszawa, I think is in Polish.
Warszawa. Yeah.
Is it Warszawa? Warszawa. Did I say it properly?
No, I said it correctly. Anyway, go on.
Anyway,
Carry on.
right. So, yeah, they're going to have a town square and whatnot. But it's like with Wrocław, it's you were mentioning in the summer that it's like pastel colours on the buildings.
That's
right?
why, yeah, it's beautiful.
So, and if you look at like an aerial view from of Wrocław, it has a mix of modernism with a traditional kind of quality to it. So I like the nice balance with that.
Yeah.
With Warsaw or Warszawa, it seems much more modern. I mean, I suppose because it was the capital.
And it was rebuilt quite a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think.
But this
I
is
don't know how
why
much
I like,
percent, it's a high amount,
from
yeah.
going to Krakow and Wrocław,
Krakow, yeah.
I love them both because you've got two different things. You've got Wrocław here, which is, like I said, the pastel colours. It's quite vibrant, it's quite colourful. In Krakow, you've got it's more medieval.
Yes,
and so it's amazing in two different ways.
Yeah.
But that's not my question. My question is what's some of your favourite places?
So what I'm trying to say, so I've been to Wrocław, Poznan, Warszawa, Krakow, Gdansk, I think I've been to Gdynia too, Sopot, Bydgoszcz, Where else have I been? Szczecin.
Szczecin.
Zakopane.
Zakopane.
Yeah, I've also, what was this other place called?
Torun.
Torun?
Łódź.
No, I've not been to Łódź. I've been to
You haven't even been to Łódź?
No, not been to Łódź.
Neither have I, if that helps.
Katowice I've been to.
Yeah.
What else? So there's another place I can't believe it's similar to Zakopane, but it's not Zakopane.
Okay,
It's a good
all right.
place.
Answer me this: if
Kapacz.
you had to move
Yeah.
away from Wrocław, which city in Poland would you move to? From what you've seen, if you had to move away from Wrocław,
So I can't choose Wrocław.
you can't. No. Which other city would you move to, and why? And
Well,
watch the
okay.
audience. We're going to look at the comments and be
Okay,
like,
right.
"What? You
Yeah,
didn't
I know,
choose
I know.
my city?"
So, well, here's the thing.
I feel you're skirting this here.
No, I'm thinking. The thing is, they're all different.
I know that.
They're different for
But you can only choose
But
one.
one of my favourite places was Zakopane. Now, people are going to say, okay, yeah, well, everyone chooses Zakopane, and it's only good for either the winter or the summer. Because the winter, with the skiing and what, well, depending if there's a lot of snow. This year, I don't think there's much. But anyway, so it's the holiday seasons, yeah? So you've got the winter and then the summer, because you go out there and you're going to go and see, I think it's pronounced this way, Morski Oko. I think in English it translates to the eye of the sea, something like that. So Oko would be the eye and Morski is going to be the sea, I think. Now that place, when I was there, well, now it'd be last year, wouldn't it? Because we just had yeah.
It is now New Year's Day.
So when I went there for the summer, it was the first time I went to Zakopane. Yes, it was incredibly busy. There was literally just floods of people everywhere. But even still, just looking at the water, it was such a
So is
serene
Zakopane
place.
your final answer? You would move to Zakopane?
But here's the thing: it's like it's.
I just want a straight
nature
answer.
speaking. It's what I'm saying. It's really hard because okay.
No, I don't.
Speaking of
I
nature,
just want a straight answer.
Speaking of nature,
Where
it's a
would you
gorgeous
move
place.
to?
Yeah, but it's not just like okay, I'll
No,
go there
it is.
because of.
That's the question.
Yeah, but think about it. I'm
You
not
got
going to
one
go
choice.
there
You
because
got one
of
choice
nature.
to live.
Let me answer. So what I'm saying is, it's not just because of nature. Nature is gorgeous, right? But then there's a lot of people there. No offense to people, but I like it with less people, right? So if I were to choose simply because of nature, then yes, I would choose Zakopane. But if I'm choosing things of such as amenities, so I'm going to have a good connection to the trains or to the trams or nice driving and less people, I'm not going to choose Zakopane.
Where are you going to choose?
So if that's the case, like I'm not going to choose simply because.
Oh, I don't know. Just tell me one place you would live if you weren't living in Wrocław.
Really hard question.
You sound like Charlie when she's making a decision.
Maybe Krakow or
Krakow?
maybe even Gdansk or Sopot because simply the festival, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
So what's your final answer?
Fine. If I had to give an absolute, I would probably say Sopot.
Sopot. There you go. There is the answer. So Kane, when he leaves Wrocław, he is moving to Sopot. They're not moving. All right. Another question for you. You've tried lots of Polish food. You've told me about all this different Polish food. Now, I think as foreigners, English people coming to Poland, I don't think generalising, I don't think we're very adventurous with trying different foods. Now, I've tried a fair bit now, bigos and etc. Pierogi, say it right that time? Pierogi, and I've tried some stuff, but a lot of English people probably would stick to what they know.
Yeah,
So, as an English person who has engrossed themselves in Polish life, what are some of the best foods that you think a foreigner, maybe an English person...
That's another hard question.
Oh, for God's sake.
Well, I like food.
What are some of the foods you think are a must try that is proper Polish?
Okay, I'll tell you the foods that personally I like.
Yeah.
I love pierogi.
Pierogi.
But it's got to be, for me personally, it's got to be the meat. I don't like the cheese one. That's just my personal preference. Okay, so I like pierogi. I like głąbki. So it's basically minced meat with other bits, I can't remember what else, but wrapped up in rice. Yeah.
So
wrapped up with
we had
cabbage.
that when we were in Krakow. You can check it out on the vlog channel, Charlie and Rob. And we had it with the cabbage and barley wheat, which was...
Nice.
I wouldn't have it again. Charlie did like it.
But I like that. I like, let me think of it. Rosu is very nice too. So it's like chicken. Basically, they call it chicken soup. Personally, I call it chicken flavoured soup. And the reason is this, because, for example, with Patricia's parents, they will get the chicken, pretty much the whole bird. They put it in there for the pot, which I think is called garnic in Polish. Is that right? Yeah. For a long time, and they boil it. They put carrots in. They put one onion in. It's very particular. You got to be a drunkard. You'll find a packet. It'll have one onion, one parsnip, one carrot or 2 carrots. It's a little punnet, and it's ready. Anyway, so they'll put all that in. They'll put some of the sauce and not sauce. Sorry.
Gravy?
No, the spices. Yeah, they put that in it. And what they do then is, when they serve it with noodles. So they put the noodles, they've already cut the noodles on the plate.
Yeah, it
and
sounds
then
like a chicken noodle soup.
But then they then get the soup, and they pour it into the bowl, but there's no chicken.
Okay.
The chicken is left in the pot.
Okay.
So to me, I like what? Now, personally, a stew is much thinner, right? It's thinner in the liquid.
Yeah, maybe.
Soup is thicker.
Yep.
It's really thin. It's very watery. So I call it chicken-flavoured broth.
It sounds more like a chicken noodle soup from the Chinese.
I don't even say it's soup. I call it like a broth. But that's just me. So when they do the chicken soup, I then get them to put chicken breasts in it, and I eat it with
So
that.
there's some of your favourite things.
So I like that, yeah. Or like those, sorry. Bigos, I know you don't like it, but
I just don't like sauerkraut. I think generalising, sauerkraut is a flavour that you normally are brought up on. And I think the Poles are brought up with it as children, and in the UK we don't really eat it. And therefore it's just so different for the taste buds. And I just can't.
So that, Jurek is nice. This is made with, I think, sourdough, eggs, and there's
Jurek is Jurek not pea, rye, wheat, something like that? Is that Jurek? I'm sure that's what I had with an egg in it anyway. Sourdough. I'm sure it's some fermented rye wheat or something.
It's nice. It's very nice.
What about, okay.
Oh, and schabowy. If I'm saying that properly. Schabowy. Kotlety schabowy.
Huh?
What you guys ate the other day.
What did we eat?
It's basically pork chop.
Oh, the pork chop. The pork chop. That was quite nice, wasn't it?
I think is nice.
Okay, we're going to reverse it. If you're a Pole and you went to England, what is some of the best English food that you can eat? Now, bearing in mind, countries around the world think that English food is quite bland. Right? That is a common thing. I don't really like. Well, I'll eat fish and chips, but I don't mind it. It wouldn't be the first choice.
It's got to be haddock.
Right.
Cod.
Some of the best foods. You have to have a Sunday roast.
Absolutely.
I'd have it with beef or chicken. Yorkshire puddings. If you don't know what a Yorkshire pudding is, just Google it. They are the best. Lots of gravy. But you guys don't really know what gravy is.
It's not what you cook.
It's like a chicken stock.
Yeah, it's made from the meat of the.
It's delicious, nice, crispy roast potatoes. That's one of the best.
Mashed potatoes, chopped. I know you don't like
sausage and mash. Yeah, got to be a Cumberland or Lincolnshire. I love sausage and mash.
There is kind of the staple bits, isn't there, of the roast dinner, and then the other bits depends on the person, depends on the family.
What veg you want.
So some people like pigs in blankets. So basically, it's sausage with bacon.
That's Christmas.
Yeah, but roast dinner and you call it Sunday roast. Roast dinner, Sunday roast, same thing. It's very, very similar to Christmas dinner. But Christmas dinner is a bit more the extra trimmings, you know.
But this is the difference you'll see now. Kane is from up north in the UK or in England. I'm from right down south, and that's where the accent comes in. I've said this before. I speak more of a posh accent, and Kane is a little bit rough around the edges. So we've got a slight difference, and in the UK, which I think is a difference in Poland, though, in all seriousness, is the Poles basically all sound the same. They speak the same, same dialect, accent.
I would say
accent, similar accent.
Dialect is
maybe slightly stronger, but in the UK, we have. You could go 10 minutes down the road, and you'll have a completely different accent. So that's a big difference. But it also is a big with things like food. And quite often with what types of food you may have. There are lots of differences in north, south.
You think?
I think so. Yeah. What would you have with chips?
What do you mean what would I have with chips?
Gravy.
You
chips and gravy.
Well, yeah, in the north they'll have chips and gravy. They'll put sausages as well.
Whereas down south,
we would.
They'd normally have curry sauce.
Well, in England, in the north, we'd have curry sauce
but you
too.
prefer gravy.
or mushy peas. Well, this is the thing.
I love
If
mushy
you've got
peas. I
if
love
you've got
mushy
fish
peas.
and chips, I mean, in England you're gonna have a choice depending on the fish and chippy or the chippy or the chip shop, what do you want to call it, between cod and haddock. To me,
Yeah.
haddock has a better taste to it. It's much more pronounced, personally. And then you're gonna have salt and vinegar. And another thing I found over here in Poland, that when you say vinegar, also I think in Polish is ocet, if I'm saying that properly, they will have, usually it's white vinegar or clear vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
And if you say to them brown vinegar, they go,
You want
what do
malt
mean?
vinegar.
What are you talking about? But in England, we need malt vinegar, like you said, the brown one.
White
And we
vinegar's
pour it
not
all over it. And people who are not English, or in this case Polish, for example, they look at me
In
like,
Australia,
why would
they
you
had-
do that?
yeah,
Why
in
are you
Australia,
killing
they
these
had white
chips?
vinegar.
You know?
I know.
And there's a difference, by the way, talking of chips, between chips, fries, and wedgies.
Yeah.
Would you say the difference?
Chips are thick,
Yeah.
fries are thin,
Yeah.
wedges are wedge shape.
Yeah, but what's it between chips and wedgies?
Huh?
What is the difference between chips and wedges?
Wedges have normally have the skin on and are cut in like a
wedged form.
like a triangle-ish shape.
Triangle.
Ish. I'm just trying to just trying to think. Anyway, yeah. So there
crescent
are
shape, like
there
a moon
are-
rather than-
Yeah, there are differences, isn't there? Now, before we end this video, can you think of some of your favourite things about living in Poland?
My favourite.
Some of your favourite things, other than Patricia. See, I'm putting these words into your mouth because that's not the first thing you said.
That's a great one.
Go on.
So with Fudge, he has
The dog.
each of the seasons, of course, you know, winter, summer, spring, autumn. He has something that he likes, except for spring, because we can't really think. What do you want to mean? So in the summer, he loves going to the lake.
Yeah.
So I think Polish say jezioro, I think. And there's a lake not far from Patricia's mum's where we go near enough every summer. I think not every summer we've been actually. And he loves swimming. And I love it because I could spend hours just throwing the rubber ring in the lake and he will constantly just chase after it and swim back. It's brilliant. So that's probably one of my favourite things to do that I couldn't get to do in England really.
Okay.
But relating to Fudge, when it's winter time and there's snow, Fudge loves jumping in the snow. He absolutely loves it.
Well, he is a
run around.
German Shepherd, isn't he?
German Shepherd Border Collie.
Border
is-
Collie.
is-
There you go.
So, you know, but he does.
You
And then
don't get that in England unless you're right up north.
when it's autumn, he loves the leaves.
Yeah.
When they're falling down, he loves just digging them. For spring, we there's nothing that we can really think that he would love doing. I mean, he loves going out for walks and whatnot. But yeah, so generally speaking, compared to England, of course there are lakes and whatnot in England too, but I'm talking about when I was there, I didn't get to do that so much. I didn't really get to go so much out into nature in England that I have over here. It's generally speaking, I think the Poles, it's really important for them to go out in nature.
Yeah.
So in the summer they're going to go out cycling and going into the woods and whatnot. And in the winter they love the snow. They love going to the mountains. So that is something for me that is great, and I really like that about
Okay,
Poland.
I have one more question. Have you taken interest in Polish sports? Because the Polish sports, from what I can get, is ski jumping. Not tried that?
No. The ski jumping is one. Volleyball. They
volleyball.
Love, yeah.
I
Football
like
too.
tennis, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot of my students love tennis.
What was the other one that they like? So volleyball. See, when I think volleyball, I just think.
Horse riding is another.
Horse
It's
riding?
usually, yeah.
So you've not really
women-
taken
women
any
and girls.
interest?
I don't really. I'm not really a
sport
sporty
person.
kind of person.
Recycling.
But generally, yeah, Polish people generally really like, which is fantastic as well. So if you speak to an average person, they probably will go out and do some form of activity. Another thing, actually, you mentioned before about things that I like. So in England, and I can always say this generally, it's not so common for children to do extracurricular activities.
Okay.
So after school, you know, it's like school's finished, okay, then we're going to go home and maybe they'll play with their friends outside or whatever. In Poland, what they do is, generally, I can't say for everybody, the children will do extra things. So they'll tend to have extra classes. So maybe the academics, they might have Polish, they might have English, they might have maths and whatnot, especially if they're coming towards their exams.
Yeah.
But that aside, the things that I really like is that the parents tend to encourage them to go and say, right, well, go and learn dance lessons, go and learn music, go and learn tennis, horse riding, whatever. And I really think that's important.
Do you think that's more prominent in Poland?
It's from what I see.
Bearing in mind, one of my main jobs is I'm a football coach, I teach children after school football.
I'm talking about majority of people. I'm not saying that this isn't existing. Of course, it exists in England to do that. But I'm saying that it seems to be with most parents, it's an importance for the children to go and do a lot more physical activity.
Wow, there you go.
And I like that. That's great.
If you've got any more questions you would like me to put towards Kane, maybe it'll have to be a Zoom or a Skype call, Discord call next time, because I may not be here. You never know, may come again. We'll see. Don't know. So if you've got any more questions I can put towards Kane, please do let me know in the comments. What would you like to know? Maybe some of the differences between England and Poland from experience here, who has now done both. Thank you so much, Kane. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me use your place. Love it. Fudge is great wherever he's gone.
He's in his bed.
It's fudge. Okay, here's another difference. Patricia and Kane don't like it because I say fudge, whereas they say fudge.
Not quite ooge, not oo.
Close enough.
Fudge.
Whereas I would call him fudge because I'm from South England and we speak properly. So we're going to leave it there. No one's going to say anything extra to that one. Thank you so much. Well done, Fudge. Thank you so much for watching. Please do make sure you like and subscribe. Go over to Charlie and Rob to check out our vlogs. As I said, we're already in Wrocław at the moment, so there's vlogs coming out from here. Thank you so much, and I will catch you next time. Say bye.
Bye-bye.